Players Pick podcast, picks and perspective with Chris Johnson. Palpable.
Thank you for persevering and taking the time, man. It's good to see you, Straten. How's your day?
Hey, you too, man. I'm doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Really good, really good. I stacked some firewood today, and that felt manly.
Nice, nice.
Been making fires a lot. It's been cold and rainy and stormy here, and so it's nice to kind of like be cozy in the house with the fire blazing. And
that's chill, man.
Yeah, you doing some lessons today?
No, not today. I've been just kind of filming course material and stuff, and I'm got some secret stuff I'm working on.
Yes, secret stuff soon to be revealed, maybe in the next however long.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hopefully, maybe by spring.
Cool.
So,
yeah, man. Well, welcome to the Kiesel family, dude. It's great to have you on board in that respect. I love seeing all the videos and seeing that Theos getting shredded on.
I'm so glad to be a part of it, dude. I mean, the guitars, they speak for themselves. They're just incredible.
So exciting. And we'll know more about that paint job. I think that they had to do it's like a three-parter or something like that. So like I was like, Jeff, where's the information? I want pictures on this stuff. And he's like, it's a three-part, like, hold on, we're almost there. I'm like, okay. So we should know.
It's all good, man.
Soon.
It seems like a complicated paint job. So it's just like, I'm just like every single day, I'm just like on the Kiesel website looking at it. Basically just like, oh my gosh,
dude. And I don't know if you saw the one that what were you gonna say?
Yeah, guitar you got in the back there. That's nice.
The blue one?
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite one. Even though I have guitars that are as shreddy or more shreddy, that one is super special because it's like I always wanted a blue Strat. I don't know. I didn't always want a blue Strat. I actually thought that Strats were dumb because they were old guy guitars. When I first started playing, I was like into Jacksons and Ibanez only. And I was like, oh man, why would anybody play a Les Paul or a Strat? Because everybody's got one. And that's where my brain was. And then I was working at a guitar store and this 50th anniversary, some sort of like 50th anniversary Strat came in. It was like kind of had like the rollerball nut and it had a satin maple neck versus like the high gloss one, that you would normally get. Mm-hmm. And that just spoke to me. And I was like, okay, I like Strats now because this Strat is rad. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm going to have to sell something and get this guitar. Came back the next day. Somebody bought it that morning before I got to work. And it was just kind of like a nice blue. This is way better guitar than the guitar that I wanted back then, but it's always been in my head. So when I first started with Kiesel, officially, I said, hey man, I want this Aqua Burst like sparkle thing, and a flame roasted neck. It's kind of hard to see, but
dude, I love that sparkle finish on it. That just looks incredible.
Yeah, it's just a real subtle two-tone thing, right? Like it's real subtle, but it does the trick because you have that little darker edge and then the lighter center, and you see it a little bit better on the back.
Mm-hmm. What kind of tremolo system's on that? Yeah, I can see that really nicely. So what kind of tremolo's on that?
This one has the Goto 510. So this is like a kind of it's the closest thing we offer to like a traditional Strat bridge. I think it's way better than a 6-point trim personally, but you can float this thing a little bit and get some pullback on it. It's similar to, or maybe it's just a different version of what Ibanez would put on at AZ series, like for the Polyphia boys, like right. That type of stuff. It's basically that trim. Blend of modern and vintage at the same time. But the one that you have is the Hipshot Kiesel trim, which is actually way smoother action. Once you tune into that one, I don't know. I kind of forget about this one. It's not that I don't hate this at all. Like every time I tune into this, I'm like, oh, this is great. The bar kind of has a lower profile. it doesn't come up very far. It kind of sticks underneath your hand really easy. You can kind of be playing and just barely, do this.
Whereas, I like that.
Which I like it too. And you maybe it's ultimately when we do a regular Delos with the headstock, maybe you want this trim because it's a little more vibey towards, traditional thing. But the one that you have with the hip shot Kiesel trim, that one's, I don't know. I have that on my my Crescent back here. I have a Crescent that has that, and that just kind of like feels like it's the apex thing in a way to me. But
the funny thing about that is every time I test out a new tremolo, what I do is I basically play Vinnie Moore or like Satriani type legato, and I'll just like that, tap it lightly just to see how the trem works. And I tried it with the Theo, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's like a Floyd Rose, but it doesn't have that extra like. So with Floyd Roses, I feel like the way I rest my picking hand, it's like it kind of gets in the way a bit. And this is like perfect. It's like the combination of like it stays in tune really well, but you can also get that perfect like just tap the bar lightly and get that super awesome sound.
Yeah, it's got some sort of like a bearing or something. I'll have to ask about the details on it, but it's got like there's something unique about the way Hipshot did that with Jeff's direction to create that particular thing. But it is, I played a Floyd for many years, and I just, as much as you could, there's a certain tonal quality that comes from having all that mass. And if you get used to, I mean, I got used to it, but I didn't really like it. It wasn't ever comfortable on my hand, the way, kind of what you're speaking to. It was never really comfortable. And then the upkeep, man, if you're actually playing a Floyd Rose on stage and sweat at all, dude, you don't have a roadie? What the hell, dude? No thanks. I'm good. I'll take a hardtail. I'll just not use a bar, like that's fine. That's
right. I kind of like having the option of a tremolo though. So that's why like that, like you said, the hip shot, it just seems like a really good balance of it has the tunability and stability of like a Floyd Rose, but like it still has that natural like tremolo or bridge feel. Which it just feels more traditional.
Yeah, dude. So I want to ask you a couple of like, origin questions. Like, I know a lot of people ask this, but I want, to see if you'll answer for the record. Like, is that your real name, bro? Come on.
It indeed is, man. Like I was named after like a Fender Stratocaster, and yeah, it's my real name. Like Marshall's my middle name technically, but I just go by Straten Marshall. I think it sounds quite nice.
It's awesome, actually. Yeah, it's very, very fitting of you. Even if, and I would actually be almost as impressed if you had said, "No, man, I made it up, man." Like Straten Marshall, bro. Like it's like I always envied that dude. What band did he play for? It was like Orgy or something like that. The guy named Amir Darak.
I don't think I'm familiar with them.
Oh, just like Amir, like I'm here to rock.
Oh.
Amir Darak, and it's like spelled like AMIR or something, and Darak is like DERAUQEE or something like that. Amir Darak, Amir Darak.
Basically born to rock, right?
Yeah, dude. Oh, my buddy Ryan always cracked me up. He was like, "That's the best stage name I've ever heard, ever." Like, I know, that's pretty right. But yours is like because you're awesome dad, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, he loves his guitar, so he decided to name me after a guitar, right?
And I mean, I wonder, like, how much of a bummer would it be if you grew up and you're like, "Dude, guitar's stupid."
I mean, I didn't go down that mindset really, but like I kind of just was like, in a way, like I knew how much time it would be to like get good at it. So it was kind of like, this is going to take time. But then once I started doing it, I was like, okay, this is getting kind of easy. Like the feeling of actually being able to do a chord and then switch to another chord and then do it fluently. That's where I was like, okay, I kind of like this.
And how old were you when you started playing, and how old are you now?
So that's a good question. I'm 25 years old now, but I can't answer this question fully accurate because there's so many times I tried it when I was probably like 3 or 4. put it down. Like there's pictures of me playing like a little mini guitar when I was like 3 or 4. It's kind of funny.
Cool.
I don't think I took it very serious back then. I mean, I think I tried a little bit, and then when I was probably in 2nd grade, so that's like 7 years old, my dad got me a Fender Stratocaster. I think he wanted me to start playing, type of thing. And I
think
I tried doing it again because I was really inspired by Kurt Cobain and like Nirvana. I really like the music, and I tried doing it. It kind of only lasted a little bit. Then maybe a couple years later, I was like, oh, I have this guitar. I should maybe try playing it. But it wasn't until I started playing Guitar Hero, which was, I don't know, probably when I was like 10, 11 or 12 around. I was like, you know what? I'm kind of getting good at Guitar Hero. I may as well really give this thing a go this time. So I turned 13 years old in 2008. And in August of 2008, I started playing guitar. So a month after I turned 13. So now this August I've been playing for, will that be 13 years?
Nice.
Yeah, 13 years. Yeah, exactly 13 years. I have it almost the exact date. I remember I was trying to play like Slash stuff and stuff. It was sweet.
That's awesome. It's cool to hear about it kind of being like a cameo earlier in your life, and you're like, yeah. I mean, I don't know, and then kind of setting it down, and then having a resurgence and having oh wait, like I have a guitar, like Guitar Hero. I should just learn to do it for real. A few people I've talked to a few people. I'm trying to think, maybe Charlie Robbins actually might be one of the ones that also was super good at Guitar Hero and then decided to like actually play guitar from being inspired by that game, which is super cool.
Yeah, that was me, man. I mean, Slash was on the front cover of Guitar Hero 3, and I feel like that's my favorite Guitar Hero, actually. But weirdly enough, like a year or two before that game came out, they had a song on Guitar Hero 2 called Jordan, and that was somewhat of an introduction to Buckethead early on, which was kind of sweet.
And he's one of your big influences, right?
Yeah, exactly. But weirdly enough, I didn't actually start listening to him probably till like 2009, 2010.
Okay. Wow. So there was plenty of material out by that time anyway.
Oh yeah, so much.
Buckethead, man. What a phenomenal weird dude. I've known a few people that have known him, and they're all like, man, what a great, wow. He's just, poor guy. He's like they say that, he's just conflicted, around life and everything and struggles. And that's part of like the artist process. Like he just stays recluse, I guess, doesn't talk to as many people. I mean, before the pandemic, he was already like prepared to be isolated, it sounds like. But I guess it's some of the greatest players, like they do a lot of their work because they stay the course, and they don't have the big luxurious like social lives necessarily, because oftentimes they're putting all their time and energy into the music, into the creation of the stuff.
I'm pretty sure that's the case with him because he has a lot of albums.
Right? Oof. So many. I think we talked about it last time we were chatting. Like he went through that season where he just released like way too many albums, and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this, friend. Like even though I'm a fan, I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, it's so much. And
there's some good stuff that came out of that.
What would be some of your favorite pieces of Buckethead, including the stuff that came out during that time?
Yeah, that was the Pikes period of time. So I don't remember the exact number of it, but it's called Claymation Courtyard. It's a really great instrumental record. It's like 30 minutes, but it's just like straight up awesome jams. One of Buckethead's studio albums that's one of my favorite is Decoding the Tomb of Banshee Bot. There's so many cool songs on there. That one's really sweet. There's another few that I really like the one with Soothsayer on it. I don't remember the name of it though. That's a cool album. It has a song called King James on there. He does some cool Kill Switch stuff. I like the album that he dedicated to his mother as well, because his mother passed away. Rest in peace. But that was a really good album that he dedicated to his mom. No, this is actually a part of the Pike series. It's like a purple album cover. I don't remember the exact name, but I always used to turn it on and be like, man, What a great record.
I'll have to check that out. Is it a mellower album, or is it a
It's actually kind of like rock based, honestly.
really? Okay.
It's cool, but it's really melodic soloing and really cool, just like really cool phrasing. I don't know. It's totally improvised, but there's a lot of
Hmm.
cool riffs and rhythm playing. I like it. It's just basically jamming in a way.
I like that. And that actually makes me want to ask, like, I know that you're working on music, right, all the time and putting stuff together. I'm curious, like somebody like you, do you, because from what I see online, like it seems a lot of what I see you playing, obviously on one level has to be pretty rehearsed to get to the level of accuracy that you're at. Um, but do you have room in your music for improvisation, and do you use it as an element of creation?
Oh yeah. I was always kind of naturally gravitated towards like improvising, but it may not show as much like on these 20-second clips because it's just, I don't know, I just try to make like the best I possibly can because it just, I don't know. I just do it that way, but I'd like to get more into like posting more raw improvised type of stuff, which I used to do a lot more. It just for some reason I started gravitating towards these insane technique clips that I don't know. I liked it because they loop really nicely, and I'm not sure exactly why I started doing it, but I don't know. I like the way it sounds, kind of like the style of videos that I do. I like how like they loop is pretty much what I mean.
Yeah, well, it's working. Like that's the good news, is that it's working. Like it works for you. You dig it, and obviously a lot of people are tuning into it and learning and being inspired by it. So no harm, no foul there. Um, but I'm curious. Like who are some of your favorite improvisers and that you've found along the way?
Actually, 1 second before that, in my music though, did want to answer this. Yeah, there's a lot
Hmm.
more room for improvising and stuff like that too. Some songs I have can be a little longer, like they can be like 4 minutes, and I allow myself to like leave more room for improvisation. Like how John Petrucci will have like a song and he'll have some sections that are improvised. It's kind of similar to that.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, some of my favorite improvisers: Jimi Hendrix, Yngwie Malmsteen. Buckethead's a really good improviser. I
Hmm.
like a lot of blues guys improvisation, like BB King. Who else? Guthrie Govan, incredible. Actually, another one I was listening to him last night. Sean Lane, great
Oh,
improviser. Great
oh,
improviser. Eric Johnson as well, another great improviser.
sure, sure. Just the fact that you said the name Sean Lane, though, like that's such a rare. I feel like it's a rare word these days, even more so than ever. I was just thinking about him because I don't know if you've seen. There's not very much content with him online, but uh, there's a few videos out there with him with that yellow Charvel, and that's
Mhm.
I owned that exact, not the exact guitar, but the exact model, the Charvel 750 XL. And when I was in my band up in Seattle years ago, and I almost want to watch Sean Lane videos, not just to because it's awesome Sean Lane, but because I get to see that guitar. I'm like, oh, that guitar! I should have never got rid of my guitar. It's so stupid. I mean, I got plenty of guitars now. Don't get me wrong. I'm super taken care of, but you know how it is. You're like, maybe I should. Oh, I was dumb. There's like three guitars out there that I shouldn't have got rid of, but whatever. Sean Lane, incredible talent, improvisation master.
Also, another one, Alan Holdsworth. He's such
Hmm.
a everything he does is improvised. He's just incredible.
Yeah, he might be the grandmaster of the thing, right? Like I feel like
Oh yeah,
I feel like in
absolutely.
some weird way, like all paths lead to Holdsworthian knowledge ultimately, right? Like it's like he tapped into some sort of akashic record of scalier, manifestation that the rest of us are kind of still trying to like piece together. So I get this part, I get how this. I'll take a chunk of that, but meanwhile he just went the full Monty. Like he like was over the fence and down the road way beyond, and the rest of society is just still trying to like understand like what even happened.
100%. I mean, everything he plays is just so incredible. it's beyond words. When you helped me spec out that Kiesel, by the way, I asked what was the exact specs on the Holdsworth guitar, and you said that he uses a 20-inch radius. I was like, let's go with that.
Yeah, that's so cool. That guitar is gonna be so rad, dude. I can't wait.
You're telling me, man. I literally cannot wait. That guitar, after we came up with that, I was like, whoa, this is just like next level.
And I'm just waiting to see like which paint job is going to be the one, because, and it's great because we've had to test, because we obviously never done this before. And I love it when that happens for an artist. They're like, hey, can you guys do this? And we're like, I think so. I don't know that we've never done that. Okay. Well, I guess technically we can do it, but so we won't say what it is yet, because we'll have the big reveal when the guitar shows up. But
I don't even know how to exactly describe it, to be honest. So it wouldn't be much of a giveaway because it's so hard to describe.
Yeah, it is a little awkward, especially if there's no frame of reference. So, but when people see it, they'll get it though. It'll make sense at some point. Going back to when you started playing, what do you remember about your early days of using a guitar pick? And did your dad, I assume that your dad is the one that had guitar picks laying around, and tell me about your guitar pick, evolution up until now, and like what you're using.
Yeah, this is actually, I'm a huge guitar pick nerd. So we're going to have fun with this. So Fender Heavy.
Yeah.
So it's like the celluloid material is what I recall using first, but I might have used a medium. It might have been a medium, but actually I do remember my dad having the heavies around, so I would probably just use like a Fender Heavy. So yeah, I like those a lot. And then I started getting into, I don't think I have any in this iPhone 6s box, but
hey, at least you're using that box.
Right here, actually I do recall using these. Oh my gosh, you can definitely tell I use this one. This is, you can probably guess what this is.
A Tortex 660.60, right?
Yeah. So Paul Gilbert played these, and I started getting into like alternate picking like that, with like using strict alternate picking like Paul Gilbert. And I would watch his instructionals, and I always noticed he uses this orange pick. So it's like the Tortex material, which is a great pick. And I actually pulled it out the other day. I have some newer ones though. I don't think I was using this old one, but I used that pick for, I don't know, like a year or two. But then, if I'm correct, there's a couple of Dunlops I use. I might have used a Jazz 3 here and there. I might have used like I don't know what they're called, but they're like a nylon material, but they're like a normal size pick. They're black. I don't know exactly like what they were, but they had like, but they had like this special grip on it. I'm not fully sure.
Max grip?
It might have been, but this is back in like 2009, so I'm not sure if that was on the market.
Could have just been the standard nylons then.
Probably.
Or some of the middies.
And then what did I start using? Oh, I don't think I have them in here. They're probably laying around somewhere, but these are surprisingly the only picks I never lost that were expensive. I used to use Red Bears for years after that. I don't know if you know about that company. Oh
yeah, was it because of Guthrie?
Not at all. It was actually because of my dad. He liked them, and then he was like, "Here, check these out." He's like, "Some of them are like $10, some are like $20." He's like, "Feel the tone."
Yeah. Well, that's super cool. And so, are you playing Red Bear now, or what are you playing now?
Not at all, actually. I don't play them at all. I don't like picks with holes in them. That's the thing. I like picks that have, I don't really care about grip, but I also did lose all my blue chip picks. I used blue chip for a while. I've lost probably like 3 of them.
Oh man, that's expensive.
I know. I just don't know where they went. But right now, these are what I'm using. And these are the Dunlop Altex Sharp 1.0. Maybe that's the right side.
Yeah, those are sharp. Those are nice. Those are very accurate. I think Father Zach Wild is using those, or the 1.14 sharp.
Oh, no way. Does he really?
Yeah, he's been on those for a while. I tried to get him off. I mean, not get him off, but I would always give him new things and like see if he would switch it up. I'm like, here's a flow, here's a this, here's a that. He's like, Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, he'd try it out and he's like, go back to his pick and he was shredding. I'm like, all right, doesn't
I'd
matter to
say
me.
last year when I went to NAM, I checked out a bunch of the flow picks and they were pretty sweet. I actually ended up losing most of those too, unfortunately. I just lose guitar picks, man, a lot. And it's why I don't buy $50 guitar picks anymore.
Well, I'll post this session. I'll definitely set you up with Dunlop so that you can
Oh, no way.
so you can order some of those picks that you're playing with your name or logo or whatever you want on them, you know, and then get a big bag of those. And then you know, it's nice to have a bag of like a couple hundred picks with your name on it. And
Dude.
you're just digging in, you're like tossing them out to your fans in the next room from the jam room to the front room, you know, or put it, do whatever you want, man. You put them in, like, I'm sure your fans would be stoked to like get a couple of picks. Maybe you want to resell them. We do. I say I still feel like I work for Dunlop, even though I'm not there like full time or anything. But yeah, like they make you could do collectible pick tins with your art on them and all that stuff too.
Dude, that's incredible. Dude, appreciate that.
Of course.
One thing that's remained true for me is using this exact pick. I don't know what it is about the material and the exact like sharpness, but this exact pick is what I've been using probably since like 2014. So I've been using these for like 7 years, but I also went through a lot of different millimeters. I still like the 1.1s as well, or the 1.14 is what they're called. And I also used to use the 2.0, and now I just do not like those anymore, but they're pretty sweet.
You know who's that? The pick that you got to try out actually is because James Hetfield jumped in on the flow. We sent him some flows. This is like a year and a half ago, and he has his own Black Fang, right? His Black Fang pick is it's a black color in an Ultex mold. It's Ultex just with opaque black in filler in there, and so it changes the tone a little bit, but it's essentially the same shape. He really likes the edge, the bevel that's on that 1 millimeter Ultex sharp. So we sent him he was like, oh, I like the one. Oh, I like the I think it was really just the one that he liked the most, and he played a little bit with the 88 and stuff. But we ended up making him a white Fang pick, which is a flow shape, so the geometry is a little bit wider like the flow, but we did one with it's the flow shape, but it's that bevel, which is a little bit more of a razor edge, where there's a little bit of like a more of a ramp and a little bit like there's more of a bevel on the flow and less of a bevel on the Ultex sharp. So we did a white Fang flow that we did two of them. One is a 1 millimeter and one is a 1.14 millimeter. And I think they both, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they both have the Ultex sharp bevel, which is, what you have on that. So just in the process of getting new picks, we should get you a sample pack of those just to try them, because that would be a close possibility. You might be like, oh, and that's the thing. Or you're like, maybe not. I still like the same shit, whatever.
Right. It's possible, man. I'm like really open-minded to trying new picks, but as far as any other pick that's been the only thing that I can consistently use is this dang Ultex, man. I don't know about however you guys made these or whoever makes these, you're doing a good job, because this is the only pick I can always go back to and be like, yeah, this will work for me for any situation.
Awesome.
So I really like them.
Jimmy will love hearing that, man. He's in it to win it, man. Like, and if you ever get out, once the things lift up, you get out here to California, like, you should definitely we should get you together and have you be able to meet those guys at the Dunlop, as well as come to the Kiesel. I mean, they're up in the Bay Area, closer to me up here, but when things aren't so crazy, like that's a good hang with the Dunlops for sure.
Dude, that sounds like a good time, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The problem with that is that you hang out with Jimmy, and then he's so pick centric. Like, he'll have like 20 different things he's working on in his hand. He'll just like, oh, here, check out. You ain't seen this shit. He's like, he's like, you're like, wait, is that a combination of this thing and that thing? And yeah, I don't know. You can't have it. You know, you can try it out. You know, it's like, it's so cool. It's like he's Papa Picks, man. He's got all the crazy shit, and it's super fun because he's just really into it. So that's a whole vibe.
Another pick actually I tried 1 year ago, so around the time of NAMM last year, is I tried a 2.0 millimeter Andy James pick, and that thing was like, I sometimes like 2.0, I sometimes don't like them, but with that pick, it seemed like it was super fluid, like you could just like glide through the strings. Like there's something really weird about it that I liked. Thought it was like super smooth.
Mm-hmm. That's what happens with that. That's what I'm talking about with that bevel. The flow bevel is exactly that. It's meant to flow. It's meant to like just rip through the strings, have least amount of resistance. But the thing with a thinner pick, like 1.0 or a little thinner with an edge like what's on yours, is going to retain some rasp, a little bit more drag, just a little bit, you know, and you can get a little bit more rasp out of the edge because the edge is so finite that it will rasp on the strings a bit versus being super quiet like a Andy James or a John Petrucci flow. Those are all made to like make the least amount of resistance and the least amount of drag on the strings essentially.
That might be what I like somewhat about, like I like different picks for different things. But that's what I might like about this one too, is it still, for some reason, this might not make sense, but when you are playing on the lower strings, like if you're playing like rhythm or like riffs or like even like some alternate picking stuff like Paul Gilbert, somehow it has this similar pick consistency on the low strings as like a Tortex.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but what I don't like about the Tortex is, depending on like the millimeter size, is when you get to the high strings, like the high E or B, that like liquid-like, fluid-like tone doesn't transfer to the high strings like this one does.
Okay.
For lead playing, that is.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I think I think that you're onto something. I think that's probably what Zach Wild sees in it as well, because he's of similar mind. He's definitely a riffer and loves to, riff out, but he also wants that high end attack and fluidity, obviously. And I don't think that it's necessarily missing from a guy like Andy James is playing, right? I'm like, he's like playing heavier music, but if you were to be in a room with those two guys playing without any amplification, you would hear there would be very little string noise with Andy, and you'd have more attack in the room with Zach. That's just the way those edges are, and I think that's what you're experiencing with that pick.
Right.
Yeah.
When I don't record direct, like through Logic, people always comment on my videos and say, man, your picking hand or the noise of the picking is louder than the amp. And I think it's hilarious. But I like that sound kind of. Like I don't prefer it, but I like that sound. Like even just playing unplugged, I prefer that super like loud percussive attack on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's great.
And because I've got like just bazillions of picks, I'm in that same place that I've ended up on mostly a light Tortex, but I have probably my favorite version of my pick is an 80. I think I have a 73 Ultex flow, so it's super thin, so it's got some rasp. And it's Ultex, but it has a little bit of the flow bevel. So I'm coming at it from the other way, where it's like a thinner pick that has like a speed bevel on it. And it has a little flex and snap to it. I don't know where mine.
I could totally see myself using a pick just like that.
Yeah, you might.
I like that. I like that millimeter because, like I said, I like the yellow Tortex because it's like that 0.73 millimeter, but I don't, like I said again. Oh, that's it.
Well, this is just the yellow flow. That's not mine. Mine is somewhere here. I'm like, I've got.
I didn't realize they made those.
Yeah. So we did the Ultex flow first, and that blew up, and then it was just the next logical thing is to do the exact same shape in Tortex. And come to find out, because a lot of us start on Tortex. I mean, Tortex Green was my jam forever. I just like 88 standard. Dimebag used it. Freaking Chuck Schuldiner from Death used it. Like a billion other people used it. And I liked the powdery feel of it when I would go and spend a couple of dollars or whatever on picks at the store. And so going back to Tortex there, and this is the thing about Tortex, right? So Tortex is a sheet process. It's stamped out of a sheet and then it's tumbled. Okay. So that's how, so when you stamp something out of it, it's got a hard edge, a square edge essentially. Right. And so then you have to tumble it to get the edge to come down and tame down a little bit. But even after tamed down, what is great about Tortex is that it has that rasp. It has that, yeah. And you have a little bit of, you have drag on it. And it's so, you know, for heavy styles, it's really nice. Ultimately, especially more for riffing, as you described, it's not for everybody when you get into the higher end, you know, strings and really going hard at it. Whereas Ultex predominantly is a injection molded material, right? Some people are now taking big chunks of Ultem and CNC, like cutting a pick out, like through like, you know, kind of computer program, like through a 3D model. That's like BHL and a few others are doing really interesting picks like that, but they're $40 each, you know, and so on and so forth. But what you're experiencing with the Ultex sharp that you have, that's an injection molded pick. And so to create it seamlessly, you know, what it comes out of a mold, and they have the ability to make the mold at a certain angle and create the bevel and all that stuff, and then it comes out rough, and then you polish it in one way or another. Either it's tumbled or it's polished a certain way by hand, and to get the right edge. So, and it's really like one school or the other. Do you like drag on your pick, or do you like shred on your pick? And neither one is wrong. It's just like what you get used to. Like I think I told you when I was doing the signature guitar pick for Jeff Loomis, he had been playing Tortex sharps, which is a different, it's has the same name, but it's sharper than the Ultex sharp, right? It's a very narrow V sharp.
It's like a V. Yeah, I've seen those before.
Yeah, the Polyphia guys use them. Chon boys use them, and Jeff Loomis uses them. He uses the 1.5, really thick one too, so it has a big square edge to it. That like, he's a fast player, but and then when I gave him a flow, I was like, "Here, bud, try this." He was like, "Holy shit, yeah, super fast, man, super." But it's like ultimately it didn't have enough of the rasp or the drag for his rhythms. It was great for up top in the liquidity, but he couldn't get he couldn't get into the feel around rhythmic timing without the drag, without the rasp on the edge of those. So we ended up with his pick, and I probably have one around here somewhere, but we did a signature pick with him that is an Ultem injection. Here it is, injection molded pick. It's all black on black. So, but it's an injection molded pick that has a little grip, has his logo on it. But it's a 1.5. And so what we did is we tried to recreate the edge, the shelf of a Tortex in an Ultex injection mold, which we hadn't really done before. So this is kind of breaking ground in a way too, because part of the Ultem is the Tortex wears a little faster, right? The material is softer ultimately. So Ultem's much harder, and can be, wear a lot slower. So we made it in a way, injection molded it to have the square edges, and then tumbled the square edges down a little bit to be just like that. But now he has a 1.5 pick with a grip, built-in grip that lasts much, much longer. So I could send you one of these too. Have you
Yeah,
tried it?
that would be, actually, as you were talking about it, I was like, man, 1.5 millimeter seems like a really nice balance in between. Because I said before, I don't like 2.0, then I do like it. But yeah, that in between might be something that's perfect for me. I don't know. For some things, it could be. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still very open-minded to discovering new picks. I love trying out new picks all the time. But one thing I know I have made up my mind is that Altex, for sure, the Altex Sharp, that is, it works for me.
At least you have a home base to come back to, man. That's the thing. Like if you can at least go through all the things and go, oh, okay, I have something that I know that works. I'll come back to this while I, travel away and check out other things. Do you feel like the trying out new picks, does that kind of shift the way you play at all, or do you mostly check out a pick with the intent of seeing how well it does the thing that you want it to do already? Like, because you know what I mean? Like,
I think the second one you said that, I want it to be like a new and improved version of basically that is what I'm looking for in a pick. And unless I'm like playing acoustic, maybe like I kind of like jazz threes for acoustic, or like I like, well, the Altex actually works quite nice for that too. I'm not gonna deny that. I used to like actually the red jazz threes, the nylon material. Those are great for acoustic.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, used to use Altex jazz threes too for a while. I think I've lost them all though.
Yeah, the Altex, well, as you know, is a little brighter, but as it gets thicker, it can dull down a little bit too. So the Jazz 3 is like, I think their standard Jazz 3 size is like either is a 1.34 or 1.35. So that little extra side of the 1 millimeter might be part of why you like that too. And that red Jazz one though is just a warm, sturdy pick, man. It's like, I think it's the thing that Eric Johnson really kind of, popularized in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. I actually used these for a while. Now I'm thinking about it again. The big stubbies.
2 millimeter or 3 millimeter?
That's a 2 millimeter, I believe.
Nice.
Actually, yeah, it's a 2 millimeter, it says. But I used to like the red ones. I don't know exactly what that is, but
I think it's just a different polymer, or just a different colorant in the polymer, if I remember right. It's funny, they just came out with, Jimmy had been working on, before we came out with Flow, he thought that Flow was going to be some sort of revival of the stubby. He thought in the original designs, he was looking at the stubby designs, like, how do I make the stubby cooler again? How do I kind of incorporate that into the Flow? He thought that was going to be Flow. But the John Petrucci and Andy James thing happened, and we're like, oh shit, I guess we're doing 208 style picks, like jazz tone 208 style picks, but an Ultem, because these two bad motherfuckers are behind it. So like, this is the Flow line. And that was the right thing to do. And then post that, for the last year and a half, he's been working hard on still doing the original vision, which was bringing back the stubby. And he handed out a handful of these at NAMM last year, but they're just launched probably a month ago or more. And they're called Flow Gloss. And so this is Flow geometry, a little bit better bevel, and it still has the indentation for your thumb and finger. So there's no like raised grip. It's an indented grip, just like your traditional big stubby. But the geometry here has widened a little bit, and it comes in 2.0 and 3.0 alike. So
man, I feel so out of the loop. I feel like I would love that pick.
Yeah, you might really love it. So there's I think we need to make a pick pack for you. We need to get you a player's pick pack out, so that you can kind of get updated on what's available before you put your name on something. You know what I mean? You could always get, Old Glory, like 1 millimeter Ultex Sharp with your name on it, because you'll probably always come back to them. But at the same time, if you find something that just smokes it, you're like, why did I even order those? I should just can I get these? So but it's a familiar conversation. I mean, I think it took a better part of 2 years or more to sort it out with Andy James.
I know how he is with picks. He claims that he only can use certain picks, which I feel the exact way. Like, I cannot play with other picks as proficiently as I can with like the Altex 1.0. I just can't do it.
It's interesting. I'm supposed to have him on the podcast at some point, but who knows if it happens. But Tom Morello, he has a story where he had some sort of benefit gig that he showed up to. He drove, it was somewhere in LA, I think. And they said, hey, Tom, come up and play, sit in with us, and like, oh, we got this guitar. And he's like, okay, I can play your guitar, but do you guys have a purple Tortex Jazz 3? Like, he was like, if you don't, I can't play guitar if I don't have that pick. And he looked over at his assistant and was like, hey, will you go to my car? Here's my keys. Just go. There's got to be like a purple guitar pick on the floor in my car somewhere. There's got to be. And so she rolls out to the parking lot. Sure enough, there's a couple of them laying around in the car. And she comes back. She's like, here. He's like, okay, good. I'm a guitarist. And he's like, I'm not a guitarist without this pick. And that was like, that's funny. Because, I mean, he's not credited for being a super technical player, but he actually is. He actually is a pretty technical guy when it comes down to it. He just does a lot of like easy sounding things that are grooving. So people are like, he's that guy that's trying to be a hip hop guitar player, but I
mean, Tom Morello's good, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's great. Well, tell me about Straten, man. Tell me about do you have any personal belief systems or anything in life, or is guitar religion, or were you raised with a belief system or anything? Is there anything that you kind of adhere to in life in that way?
Yeah, no, I do. I have a lot of belief systems. So I grew up Christian. I still am. I also do stuff like meditation and stuff like that. So that's why, like, when I see what you post, like Alan Watts stuff on there, I think that's cool on like Instagram.
Sure.
So I'm also into that kind of stuff as well, like spirituality and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm also big on stuff like the law of attraction. I have a lot of beliefs into that. I don't know how you feel about that, but I believe in stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's definitely a huge part of myself for sure.
Do you feel like you've been able to utilize the law of attraction to kind of draw things like what you needed into your life?
Yeah, no, exactly. 100%. 100%. When I watched that in late 2015, I swear The Secret, everyone's introduction to it, I mean, it can go a lot deeper than that, but I still use that as a resource. I mean, I think it's a great book, great movie for, an introduction to it, but it goes much deeper than that, you'll find. But yeah, I do credit that for like a lot of things.
That's cool. So it's interesting because I too raised Christian. I don't necessarily claim Christianity, and it's really like on a technicality, just because I've almost done too much study around all of it to like feel like I could let myself stay pigeonholed in that area. But my primary filter is from growing up in the church and being around that way of looking at and trying to honor something bigger or greater than ourselves, looking at the universe in a way that has some sacred elements, as opposed to kind of the nihilistic like everything's fucked type of mentality. Like I've always definitely been more positive around it. So, and I think that, you know, working around, like looking, being open towards universal truths is like been my really where I've shifted towards. I'm like, well, you know, not everything is necessarily right about this particular belief system, but I credit it for these things, and I learn these things from it, and it helps me see a certain way. And then as I listen to and I ingest another perspective, you know, I go through the process again in a way, like, and so, you know, there's so many different avenues to come at it, but I think all paths kind of lead home anyway, you know, like, I don't know, it doesn't matter what you call it. Like, you know, there's, because I can't be sure I can't give you some sort of name and be like, I just can't get super sure around names and like what's going to happen when you die. Like those are fun things to debate or to like to kind of dream about. But I think that it's almost more interesting ultimately for me to not be concerned with afterlife, but see what techniques can help me stay here now with you and be present and be a good person, and you know, those type of things that are more existential, you know, things that are here now.
Right. Like you read the book The Power of Now.
Oh yeah. Great book. Shifted things for me a lot. I remember when that came out.
Yeah, it came out, what, it's the early 2000s, right? Or is it late 90s?
I think it was early 2000s. Well, that's when I found it. I think I probably found it in 01 or 02, or I don't know. I just know I was in Seattle. Can't remember exactly what year it was, but I read his subsequent books too. And then, you know, like I really think he's done some really great work, some really great quotes, and great insight into the human condition. But then I think for me, it's like, I think Alan Watts, like, I post him all the time in my stories all the time because he's my favorite, like, philosopher. Like if there's him, there's Joseph Campbell, but J. Krishnamurti was one of my favorites too, because of just what I was kind of starting to allude to, is that he's like, as soon as somebody thinks they got it figured out, you should stop listening to them. Like don't let any man or don't let anybody be your master. He's like, you are the only one that you have to ultimately reconcile with, you know, like, I mean, there are consequences for your actions and everything, but he essentially thought it was whack to give your power away, or the authority away to anyone for any reason, when all these great masters all continually said, hey, it's you've got to sort it out. But then religion springs up and followers go, oh, you know, I'm going to put all my cares on, you know, put my faith in you or that. And so there's just a line of abdication of responsibility that can happen in religious context. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I don't adhere to one thing. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle there.
Right. You keep a balance, which is good. That sounds good to me, man. Yeah.
Well, and just it's cool. When did you learn to meditate? And is it a certain kind of meditation that you do?
Just standard. I'm not super technical when it comes to it. Just standard deep breathing exercises, being present, being just no thoughts at all, just presence, just kind of meditation. And I don't know what you call it. I'm not an expert or anything in it.
That's okay.
But that's what I do.
And do you do that like daily?
Minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And
there's some, I mean, of course there's times where you fall off and you don't do it, but not everyone, but some people like me, there's times where I fall off with it, then I'll get back into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you'll find once you start doing it is you just much more clear, much more, how do you describe it? Just, you seem to understand further insight on a lot of things. I don't know how to explain it.
It's I think it's a great practice, especially for musicians. I think everybody would get some sort of benefit from it. But in talking about it in relation to music, maybe you can correlate it towards composition, right? When you intentionally add and arrange space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're intentionally adding and arranging space within a composition, what is the space? What does that serve, right? Why put space here and not here, or why space at all? And so the easy way is to like look at it and benefit. Oh, well, when you put space in, like, then it's the backdrop for the silence and this and the quiet, and the stillness is the backdrop to the motion and the doing and the next thing. It puts a little bit of contrast into your thing, right? So in playing, and like you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna go slow and melodically through this section and work it out, and then I'm gonna almost have a rest here so that the next part is more impactful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's more focus on the next part. It adds focus to the
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? And so people
Absolutely.
go, oh, I get focus from meditation. Well, of course you
For
do,
sure.
because you're dropping the facade, right? You're dropping the facade of having to be on and having to be a guy named Straten Marshall Hammond, and just being for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, however long you want. And there's something so intrinsically beautiful about putting a pause and putting a break on playing the part that we're kind of expected to play all the time, right? And
100%, man.
Yeah.
Hey, also, I don't know if I cut you off or not, but
No, go ahead.
To further answer your question before, I also, when you said who am I also like to try to believe, well, not like to try to believe, I try my best to like take care of my health. Like, as you can see, I normally make my own juices and stuff, like fruit or vegetable based juices and stuff, but like sometimes I'm lazy. 7-Eleven actually has a really good organic cold pressed juice you can get there.
Is that the Suja? Is that Suja? What is that? What brand is that?
It's actually 7-Eleven brand.
Oh, sorry.
You want the ingredients? It's got
Sure,
some cool
man.
stuff in it.
Hit me up.
It's got 25 kale leaves, 1 parsley bunch, half thing of celery, 3 cucumbers, 2 apples, 13 mint leaves, 1 lime, and 15 spinach leaves.
Nice.
A lot of nutrition. And that's one thing that I'm very interested in, is nutrition and health.
Yeah, I see you drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, I also drink a ton of water.
It's awesome.
So I try to stay healthy and eat clean, stuff like that.
Do you, and I mean, the obvious benefits are just feeling good, right? Like,
Yeah.
But have you, I mean, do you feel like you spent enough time not doing that it feels like you're like, oh, I see the benefit in taking care of myself, sort of thing?
Oh, 100%. I can tell, like, I feel dehydrated without drinking these juices, put it that way. I feel like water doesn't, like, I have a pretty cool, nice juicer at home. So I basically can make like a juice that's like from scratch how I want it. It's not like a blender. It's like a legitimate juicer, which is pretty sweet. But this 7-Eleven one's really good too. But I see the benefit of it because, like, I feel like compared to water, it's superior hydration is what I like to call it. I feel way more hydrated, and that's important for me.
Yeah. And I think part of the element is all those greens are alkalizing your blood, and the alkalization of your system makes you gives more comfort in your body, right? It's like, it feels good. Like if you're getting enough greens, man, you're feeling a lot better than when you're not getting enough greens. Like even if you're drinking enough water, like I don't know. That's my experience anyway. I've
For sure.
I've done enough dumb things in my life to my body that like I'm very, very clear that like drinking water and eating my greens is necessary. That's cool that you do
Sure.
the juicing.
Yeah, no, I'm super into it. Like even this juice alone has like close to 1,500 milligrams of potassium in it, which is, and it's a lot. I mean, they say 4,000 is what you need daily. I mean, but that's getting plenty right there.
That's great.
I definitely feel that hydration from it for sure, compared to like just drinking water. It has like the minerals that like stick to you more.
Nice.
Well,
tell us about, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, let's go for it.
Tell us about what you've been listening to lately. Maybe there's another player out there or an album or something you've heard recently that you're just like, oh man, this is my thing right now, and I'm so impressed with this, or a player that maybe not a lot of people know about that we should check out. Or
we can revisit who we were talking about earlier, actually, because this is the first thing that comes to mind is Powers of 10 by Sean Lane. Just a very awesome record, man. I was listening to it last night and I was like, this guy's brilliant.
That's a great recommendation. I definitely, for the younger generation that has not been turned on to Sean Lane, definitely check him out. He was just a brief moment, really, and like I don't think he must have passed away before, or around 30 years old or something like that. I don't remember.
I believe he was 40 years old.
Was he 40?
Far too young. Far too young, man.
Well, 40 is still older than I thought. It's just so like I think he passed away in the 90s or early 2000s or something, right?
It was 2003, September 2003.
Wow, and
Yeah.
Impressive.
I know, yeah. I mean, I have one of these like memories that I remember a certain month and certain year of a lot of things that for some reason, I don't know why, I just like remember things like that. Like I have a memory, I can like tell you like the month and year of certain things. Like one had noticed earlier when I was saying like when I started playing guitar, I could tell you the month I started playing, stuff like that.
What month was it?
August 2008.
See, August 2008, I was playing. I think I'll have to go back and look. See, I have to. I'm a little fuzzy on it, but I'm pretty sure it was either July or August of 2008 was my metal band's last show. It was a CD release party. We didn't know it was our last show. We were supposed to be going on tour, but then we ended up breaking up. It was but it was a really great show. And wow, interesting thinking about 2008 as when you first started, and all that time has elapsed for me. But you're like, hey, I'm just now getting started doing the thing. Well, considering you have that cool memory, what do you remember about? What's your earliest memories of music? Do you remember what it was or who, like, what how music affected you in the very, very beginning?
My earliest memory is just like my dad basically playing guitar. Really, is kind of like the first thing that could come to mind, I guess, right? And in any like other bands, I guess, like I couldn't even tell you any music that I liked back then other than Nirvana, to be honest. I also remember my dad had a Jimi Hendrix poster, and that's another early memory I have of like him playing like an upside down Strat.
Dude, that's cool.
So basically my dad playing guitar, Nirvana, and Jimi Hendrix. Visually, it was Jimi Hendrix because I just remember the picture. Really, is what comes to mind. I don't think I knew much about his music other than my only understanding of Jimi Hendrix at that time was he was like the best guitar player to ever live. That's like literally my only understanding of him.
I love that crosses generations, because that's exactly how I knew of Jimi Hendrix, probably 10, 20 years before you were having that realization of Jimi Hendrix. It was like even though I had, it wasn't until my teens. In my teens, I started like having his CDs and, exploring the catalog more. But like early years, I just knew of Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC because of my stepdad. He was just he had hot rods and would crank music and when we drive around in this 56 Chevy, and so like and T-Rex. For whatever reason, T-Rex was like one of his favorites too. And so but I remember like into my teen years, like, I hadn't even really started playing, but like if you would have asked me like who's the greatest guitar player of all time, I'd just been like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure it's Jimi Hendrix, right? Like pretty sure. And it wasn't until somebody tape traded me and wanted an Iron Maiden tape that I had, and they traded me a Steve Vai Passion and Warfare, and
such an incredible album,
dude, right? And again, this is before I even played guitar, but part of the trade was that the guy, it was my buddy's older brother, and he goes, man, that's the only Iron Maiden that I don't have, so I gotta get it, and I'm like, I don't even really listen to it, so like, what do you got? And and he's like, dude, I have this tape. He's like the greatest he must be the greatest guitar player of all time. And I was like, what, like better than Jimi Hendrix? Like that was like my reaction. That was like, are you, but my dad said that, I mean, I don't know, buddy, like I was like, all right, like, I guess you're on, dude. I'll take that. And I just remember like listening to that album appealed to me outside of, not knowing anything, not knowing how to play guitar. And I think because it's so creative and so imaginative, and it had such dense, lush soundscapes that were just like, it's like a painter like throwing colors around, and I don't know, it felt like that to me visually, or in my head a little bit. So
yeah, that album is incredible. Really one of the best instrumental records really that I can think of off the top of my head, really, aside from a few other records. Actually, another record to check out, not to sidetrack or anything, but Vinnie Moore, Time Odyssey is another really great record that I like a lot. I think everyone should go check that out.
I don't know Time Odyssey. I've listened to The Maze, I think, the most.
That's right. That's the album after that then.
Is it? Yeah, it was like one of the tracks towards the end of The Maze that like I just always went back to, and I'm blanking on I have to look at the thing, but okay, so Time Odyssey is the album before that.
Yeah, and then Mind's Eye is the first album. And that's like the super, super neoclassical album. That's like right up there with like Yngwie and stuff like that. They have that neoclassical sound. Even Greg Howe was doing neoclassical back then. I think everyone kind of was at that time.
Yeah, Greg's awesome, man. He's been all over the map too.
He's so good now too, with his fusion playing and his blues. Just his phrasing is incredible.
Agreed. So if you could collaborate with anybody out there living right now, who would be maybe your top 3 people that you would just like either like to write music with or co-shred with, or like who would be somebody that you'd want to link up?
That's a good question. Let's just keep it to guitar players, I guess, for right now, because it'll make it less. It would make me think too much if it was outside of that. Dang, dude, that's hard to say. Like, it would be sweet to like. I don't really know. Like, I feel like I'd be excited about any of these people I could name right now, but
well, like I want you. I'm encouraging you to use that law of attraction right now. What I'm doing.
Like, dang, man, like I feel like it'd be really cool to have like Yngwie Malmsteen on a track. That'd be like, that would be it right there. That'd be awesome.
Okay, Universe, you hear that, Universe? Yngwie? Oh wait, I've got Yngwie's number on my phone. I might have to tell him about Straten Marshall. I do, actually. I do. I'm not lying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we met. What was it? We met a few times, but like I never expected him to remember me or anything. But last year when I was at Dunlop, that the second time through they did the Generation Axe, and they came through with Tosin and Vi and Zach and Yngwie is the only one. Yngwie and the dude from Extreme. God damn it, Nuno. Nuno and Yngwie were the two that I didn't know really that well, but I know. I've worked with Vive, worked with Tosin's a bud, and Zach is just, forever the king. And so I went and go hang out at those things, and I'm sitting backstage, and Yngwie comes out of his dressing room, and I'm just like, man, he is just like he doesn't matter like he's larger than life. Like I'm like, he's like, fucking God, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's the guy. Like he's like cracking me up. He's a total character. And somebody said, hey, have you met Chris? He's from Dunlop. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. Hey, I want to make a wah pedal that looks like my Ferrari. It's like, oh, he just went right into it. I was like, okay, maybe, like, let's talk about it. Like, so we walked down the hall to this where they were doing the fan photos, and so I kind of walked with the group, and he was just telling me how, yeah, I really think it'd be cool to make a Ferrari Crybaby.
That would be sweet.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you're not wrong. Like you absolutely, and that's a thing that Yngwie Malmsteen would play. Is a Ferrari red, like kind of like make his emblem or something. He was wanting to put the Ferrari emblem. I'm like, I don't know if we can do that, but like, so he ended up texting me. I don't know if it's still his number or not, but I haven't talked to him in a while. But okay, but hey, I'm just saying, I didn't mean to sidetrack too far. But Yngwie Malmsteen is only 1 or 2 degrees away from you, so that's a good one. Give me 2 more.
Dang. Okay, I'll give you 2 more. Just for like nostalgic sake, I feel like it'd be cool to have like, I'm just basically naming my favorite guitar players, like Paul Gilbert.
Yeah.
Why not, right? I feel like those 2 guys influenced my playing more than just about anyone, I would say. Just from that's what I grew up watching, really.
Yeah.
Who's the last one? Dang. This almost seems like it wouldn't be possible, but like Buckethead would be pretty sweet to have too. Like I think it'd be so hard to get in contact with them that I don't know. Anything's possible though, but yeah.
That's right. Well, anything is possible. I do know a guy that knows him, but it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. But yeah, that's cool. That's a good top 3. So Yngwie, Paul Gilbert, and Buckethead, and maybe we put Vinnie Moore in there as a.
Yeah, I would love to do that too. That would be awesome because he's one of my favorite guitar players too.
Cool. So maybe he's an alternate if we can't get Buckethead.
Yeah.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell Vinnie Moore that.
No, I
Hey,
won't.
we couldn't get Buckethead, man. So like, we're just gonna take you, bro. It's cool.
Or like I could name a lot of people. Like who else? I keep thinking of guitar players, but a lot of them come to mind. Like dang, it's hard to think right now. They got me on the spot.
Okay.
Who am I thinking right now? Steve Vai would be really cool.
Oh my God, right?
Steve Vai, Joe Satriani would be just as cool.
Yeah. And
I think all those.
What about the people out there that are watching that are much less legends than these guys you're naming? What if somebody out there wants to collaborate with you? Is that something you're open to? Are you available for doing guest solos and stuff like that?
Yeah. No, I don't do a ton of them, but I've definitely done some collaborations and stuff when they're like on YouTube. Like I did one of the, what's it called? The Biggest Shred collab with Jared Dines and stuff. I did a solo on there. I
Are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm here. My bad. I'm switching these out so they don't die.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, you're good. I saw that big shred collab. That was awesome for sure.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah. That was super cool.
Nice.
I think it's probably the first time I saw you. And then it was my buddy Zane Williams up in Seattle, who I used to work with at Ampeg and Mackie. And and he's been a fan of yours for a while now, and he kept sending me IG things, and I'm like, dude, this guy is ridiculous. And he's like, I know, I'm trying to learn all the shit that he's putting out. And he it's so funny. Big props to Zane. Zane is my brother from another mother. He's actually the first guy that made me try Jazz 3. I was still on my Tortex greens for a long time, and he was like, we were working together, had desks next to each other. We're doing product development, and I was doing artist relations and stuff. And he's like, man, just take this red Jazz 3 home for the weekend. Don't play anything else for the weekend, and then when you get back, like, let's talk, and you can then pick up your old pick and see if you still want to play it, you know. And it's like, okay. And I had hated it at first. I was like, it's too small. I don't like it. Okay. Then you kind of adjust, you get better. And I picked up the other pick, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I can play that pick anymore. And so I was on Jazz 3s for a long time. But Zane plays, he has a really interesting, long before I ever saw Tosin doing anything, like the kind of the double thumbing and like the slapping on an extended range guitar, like, my buddy Zane was doing that in a more of a funk context. Like, he had this cool,
that's like, sweet
7-string Ibanez, and he's just like really cool, very unique voice on guitar, and also a shredder, like really into Petrucci, but was also like would put the pick down and do some slap funk clean tone type stuff in the middle of this prog metal stuff. So, but he was just going off about how, like, he's like, man, Straten has, like, I'm not really even into arpeggios. Like, I've been kind of, I don't know. He makes me like arpeggios all over again and feel like that they can be way more musical than I had ever really give them credit for. So now I'm back to practicing because of Straten. And I was like, send him a couple of photos. I'm like, look, dude, Straten and I are talking. He's like, oh my God, it's so cool. You guys are hanging out. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's all because of you, man. Thanks.
Dang. Well, thanks, Zane.
Yeah, dude.
That's sweet, man. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Thanks for letting me know about that.
Yeah, of course, man. You affect people, man. And I'm sure you don't know half the stories in the way, you know, because you have a far reach, and you can't interact with everybody, you know, and not everybody's going to reach out and go, hey man, you changed my life. Or you know, a lot of them are just quietly working on stuff that you post, you know, and going about their day.
It's so true, huh? Yeah. It's hard to, it's crazy to imagine it like that, you know?
Yeah.
Never would have, like, yeah. When you bring it to your attention, or bring it to someone's attention, it's like, oh, wow. But then meanwhile, there's so many people that are like quietly maybe working on it. Sometimes you're just not even aware of it.
Yeah. I think that's that's probably the best case scenario, though, is to not know too much about and not be too hyper aware of, you know, it's a strange middle path thing, right? Like, because yes, you do want to be aware of your effect on the world, right? Like, that's important, right? That makes you a conscientious human being that's probably doing reasonable things in the world and not being a jerk and not being too destructive, right? But on the other hand, you don't want to be too hyper aware of it, like every little thing I do, are they going to like this? Is this going to be cool? And you don't overthink the steps. You just go about doing things the way you like to do them, and then, well, oh cool, you actually like that? Oh, that's cool, right on, I'll do some more. Here's another one, you know. And when you're in that state, that kind of like natural, like gifting, open state, I think that is the most healthy kind of, like, you know, positive way of impacting the world, personally.
Yeah, no, that's a good point you got there. That's kind of, I guess, maybe the mindset I try to approach it, like, just keep putting things out there regardless, like post lessons, post music, post licks, post whatever, you know, just do it.
Yeah.
Like Nike, just do it.
Yeah, man. 100%. And I always, I love the Joe Rogan point of view. He would always say, you know, like, just keep working and don't read the comments, man. you know, like in his line of work, that was his way of like saying, just stay focused, keep doing the thing, keep putting it out, and get the experience and do the things, you know, like and keep breaking ground if you can, you know, just the process of showing up. I mean, there's so many days for me anyway. I feel like there's so many days that I flip open the laptop, turn on the guitar stuff or whatever, and I'm like, I'm gonna create, or I'm gonna see if I can create today. Is what I often say. I'm like, do I have the juice today, you know, to like create a thing, or get involved in something. And the days that I'm really open, then I usually have more going for me. The days that I have some sort of expectation around it, usually not as much. But as long as you're coming back to it regular, and the consistency over time, really, I think is just like the magic. And you've really got that down, man. I'm impressed. Your consistency with posting and content upload is wonderful. I can see why we all love you and why you're doing your thing. I can see it.
Hey man, I appreciate that a lot, dude.
Yeah, dude. Likewise. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
No, this seems like a great episode. I mean, you got a cool podcast here, man. We get to talk about guitar picks, get to talk about a bunch of stuff. I like it, man. This was cool. Thanks for having me on the show.
100%. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. And yeah, it has been a good episode, man. Like you might be you're in the top like 5 nerdiest guitar pick, guests that I've had. So that's like always exciting, because I don't weigh too heavy on it. I'm like, we can talk about picks, but we don't have to talk about picks, because I just like to talk about anything. I like the personal part of it, and getting to know somebody, I think, in a kind of semi-candid way is always just fun. And when I see those podcasts with my favorite players, it puts me at ease to like, just to know a little more, without it being a real regimented, you know, it's got to be, let me get through all these questions. And then what were your major influences again? And it's like, we're going to hit that at some point if we just talk, you know, like it'll just come out. I don't need to ask you those things, because you just volunteered all that stuff, you know? So yeah, man. Well, I hope the rest of your Thursday is awesome. And I haven't forgot about your dad. I'll be reaching out to talk shop with him about his new guitar. Just been super busy this week, but I'll be reaching out. So, you know, no worries there. And as soon as I have info on the finishes for yours, we'll be in touch, and I'll be like, hey, here's the pictures, make a choice.
Dude, I am more than you can imagine how stoked I am on this guitar.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's what I live for. This is like part of I got a great podcast, but I got a great job, dude. I get to help you spec out guitars. Hashtag blessed.
For sure.
All right, man. Well, have a great day, dude. And thank you so much for being on Players Pick Podcast, Strat. And I appreciate you, man.
Of course, man. You have a good day too, man.
Will do. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Peace out, man.
Peace.